the content will be, of course, the first one is to introduce. And here, because we are talking about software engineering, so you can take a look first. I will talk about the identification, design, and finally the implementation. And the last one we'll consider about how to compose the services to become a larger one. And here, we're talking about the service engineering, and you will see from the transparency, you'll find that, developing service, why we use it, because, there are a lot of existing service already. So we need to, in this era, we need to reuse the services so that we can deliver the application in a quick way. And the service has to be designed as a reuse abstraction. And I think even in Taiwan, 3 years ago, when we mentioned about the service to other people, they just say what it is. They are not quite familiar. And we were used to use OO and normally like this issue. However, after several years now, the researcher became more and more to work on this area, and generally it's for the service. It's a general useful functionality associated with the abstraction that you design, and the service must be robust and reliable. I think that in the very beginning, all of people do not believe the robust and reliable. Even now, today's, for undergraduate students, they're still not believe the robust and reliability. However, since the biggest company, they provide registry, and more companies provide registry. So I think these two, it should be much better than before. So the service must be documented so that it can be discovered and understood. I think this is another technique, and a lot of people try to work out a new way for the documentation. I think that it's different from other software existing, because for services, when you deliver a service, and then you are supposed to to send the service to registry in order to let others to find your service as quick as possible. And why it need to be documented? Because when you enter the registry to send the service inside, you do not need to send the code. Instead, you will send the introduction. And the document is quite important because for each registry, they like to adapt the best one, the best software for them. So because if we do this way, and if it does this way, it will get more and more members. So they have developed a very good AI systems try to screen out the service which is not desirable. So when you enter the registry, the first important thing is to send the corresponding document to ask the screener in the registry to make your service, the level of your service up and up, so that you can allow the client or consumers to easily find your service. Well, in other words, to make your the name of your service to be in front of others. And it's the most important problems, and now there are many researchers working on it. Okay. However, for service engineering, there are at least 3 processes. The first one is to identify the service you want. That's a service requirement. And then based on the requirements, you need to identify the service the service, what service can be done and what service cannot be applied. According to the design, you need the existing service, you also need the running environment you have adopted. And actually, there are some conflict. And during the design phase, you need to solve the corresponding problems. And I think Fleming is the expert in this area. So for these two parts, in his PhD study, he has paid a lot of attention on it. And for the last one, I mean, for service implementation, you are trying to validate in order to deploy the corresponding services. And now we know that during the testing, still there are many questions and many problems to be solved. And however, for me, because I believe that the service is better than conventional technique. And even in my topics, education topics and educational material, I found we can find there are many ways to construct the services, and even the utility services, and there are many ways, and there are many evaluations, and perhaps you will adopt it in the near future. And for service engineering, since there are three stages, so as I mentioned before, first of all, you need to identify the service from the requirement specification, and then do the rest. And currently there are two kinds of the service development. One is called SOAP. As long as the service existing, and you can use the service to use the SOAP to send the message to the service provider and ask their service. And the second is called RESTful. And RESTful, I think, well, for a lot of person, it's interesting because you can use the REST to get the service, get the data, corresponding data, and you can put the data to inside or get something very, it can release the effort of network, and because you only get a few data and you can do the rest. And if for the specific service still, you need to use the SOAP. And well, based on here, you might construct some of your specific features based on RESTful. And the service implementation and deployment will implement and test the service and will make it available for use. That means when you construct an application, and in the past, we will, since the service, since the program has been developed, so well, the development work and has been need to be deleted because since the software is completely and the developer can do nothing. But recently, because of the success of the services, and some people consider in another way. In other words, if you have the software program, actually it's been running for several years, and the software itself is worthwhile, so you do not need to discard it. On the other hand, you can do rearrange the software as the services, so that because the software has been tested and for many years, so it should be robust. And well, from this point of view, you should accept the services. You can use the service, the software as the services, so that you need to recategorize the services, the software as services. I think it's better, for software engineer, for those who have been testing for a long while, you can use it as, you can categorize it as services based on the services, so that you allow to others to reuse the software. And I think this point of view, well, it's very new, and perhaps in the near future, for the categories, they will give some new methodologies, and service can support business processes and service candidate identification involved understanding an organization's business process to decide which useful service could support these services. So for services, actually, they are, I think from different, also may have different consideration. And at least two of them as fundamental. One is called utility services. The second, this utility service just, design and implement from the platform itself. So the service itself just provide one functionalities, and the fundamental functionality are to be used by others. And the second is business services. The service is just like a service and just like an object, and it will be associated with several operations or several methods or several functions. And
Professor,
mm-hmm.
we cannot see your transparency.
So can I see my transparency?
Yeah, it's still in the page 2. Is that Professor still discussing in the page 2?
No, actually, I in the page 7 already.
So, okay.
Well, what happened? I'm sorry. Well, I think I need to rearrange again. Just a moment, okay? And this in back to the process systems. Now, first here. Just a moment. Let me leave the system and enter it again. Okay.
I think Professor can just stop the share screen and start again.
Yeah, now it's back. Yeah. Now, to just a moment, okay? Yeah. Okay. Just a moment. Is this okay now?
Yeah, I think Professor can continue first, because I do not know what happened there.
Well, I cannot see because I just modified just upgrade my Windows. So can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see.
Now it's a task and entity-oriented services.
No, currently still service candidate identification.
Here and now, is it changed?
No.
No?
Yes.
Well, I moved. I know.
Yeah, I think Professor share different things, I think.
That can be stopped. Can you see the change?
Yes, we can.
You can see it already, right?
Yes.
For task and entity services, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Let me take a look. Okay. Yeah, okay. And for usually we have the task services and entity services and utility services. And I think the research, the microservice is between the task and entity services. And in the current research, in the very beginning, we use the entity service and utility services in order to construct the task or the applications. And we usually call the applications as task services. And Hermin's work, it is based on the task entity service and utility service, and based on the microservice and to construct the new task services. And microservice is a better way to construct it. So perhaps you can talk with Hermin to see what's going on. Okay, and now the next one. Can you see it? Hermin?
Yes, Professor. Yes.
Entities, right?
Yes.
Since in the very beginning, we claim that there are three considerations: utility, business, and coordinations. We can try to coordinate all the services together, and in order to construct the new applications. So here we have task, entity, and utility services. So from the tasks, is a currency, for an application, the utility just like for example, like a currency converter, employee locators, and business just like a weighted claim form or check created rating. In coordinations, just like a process against claim or pay external suppliers. And for the entities, from the utility, just like document style checker or web form to XML converter. For business, the entity may have more and more service like experience form or student application form, and a lot of the entity service, it's just like an object, okay? And of course, the entity cannot provide the coordinations. And for the next one, you will see, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. And in order to identify the services, you can see, I'm sorry. Yeah, there are at least 6 steps, 6 different ways to identify the services. First is the service associated with a single logic entity used in different business processes, for single logic entity. And the second is the task one that is carried out by different people in the organization. That's the task entity service. The third is the service independent. If the service is independent, then we can treat it as the service. The fourth is, does the service has to maintain state? Is a database required? If it's a database, of course, it's a service. And the fifth, could the service be used by clients outside the organization? And if it is, and the service can be treated as a service. Different users of the service likely to have a different non-functional requirement. And from the different users, if they have a different non-functional requirement, for those requirements, we can treat it as services. Like here, the identification example, like here, a large company which sells computer equipment has arranged special prices for approved configuration for some customers. And to facilitate automated ordering, the company wished to produce a catalog service that will allow customers to select the equipment that they need. But unlike a consumer catalog, orders are not placed directly with a tech catalog interface. Instead, goods are ordered through the web-based procurement systems. of each company, and that access the catalog as a web service. And most companies have their own budgeting and approval procedures for orders, and their own ordering processes must be followed when an order is placed. And from this, this is the fundamental requirements. In the very beginning, a large company will give a sale, and from here, during the sale, one of the ordering of the consumers can work based on the catalog services and based on the systems. Because inside the system, each customer has their own, actually their own operations with the large companies, so that they have each one have their own discount, and each company, of course, they have their own approval procedures. So based on this one, we may consider, by the supplier, it will show which good can be ordered from them or by other companies. So after we translate the original requirement, we will see service requirements should be a specific version of catalog should be created for each client. Just the catalog will be done for different for each client, and since it's created by the large company, so the catalog should be downloadable, and the specification and price of up to 6 items may be compared. In other words, when the user enters, the consumers, when they enter, they can download 6 items at most. And browsing and searching facility should be provided. In other words, based on the catalog, so consumer can do the browsing and searching. And a function should be provided that allows the delivery date for order items to be predicted. Now, for users, for consumers, they can have the find the given the ordered items, and also if it's possible, they can derive the delivery date to make a decision. So virtual orders should be supported when reserve the goods for 80 hours to allow coming order to be placed. Based on the data they have, and they can approve their proposal inside their company. So that they need to have some days, like 48 hours, to reserve the goods. Okay, and here, first of all, because the work should be from top-down approach. So the non-functional requirements, like here, X should be restricted for those functional I described previously. Now we need to construct, consider the non-functional requirements. For example, like here, X should be restricted to employees of a previous organization. Previously we just described how it works, but now we describe some restrictions here. Like here, to employees of the previous organization, there are some of them cannot do it. And price and configuration over to each organization should be confidential, because each company, has their own discount and with the company. So for the price and configuration need to be because for different companies, they have their own characteristics about price and configuration. So all these data are confidential. And for the third, at the time for the cataloging, well, there is a time limit, from 7 to 11, and each time, the catalog should be able to process up to 10 requests per second. That's a problem of, the service offered by the big company. So now the function, based on the previous stage of the functional, we can see we have we need to make a catalog, and neither allows, the consumer to look up the sales product. And okay, it's fine. And the third is to let the consumer to search from the catalog. And then let the consumer to compare what they want, and check the delivery date, and finally make a virtual order, so that after making the virtual order, they can allow the days of the delivery, and during they make the virtual order, so they can apply the approval from their internal organization. So and consider about those, we also needed the service interface design, because through the network, it's wireless, it's web services. So you need to construct the service interface to allow consumer to enter the system and feel comfortable inside the service. So it will consider thinking about the operation associated with the service and the message exchanged. And the number of messages exchanged to complete the service request should be normally be minimized. And service state information may have to be included in messages. Okay. And interface stages, interface design stages, including the logic interface design and message design and interface design. Okay, as I mentioned previously, you can send a message to let the consumer can send a message to you and to work it directly. And for the second, you might use the REST. You can allow the user to, when you send a request, and you can associate with the message, since it's REST. So you can get a series of data and send to the reply to the users. For example, like to user to user browsers to open the corresponding data and through the windows to see the interaction, to see the catalog, and it will be more efficient. When you have a catalog with the windows, and that's why they develop a method we call REST. And now the catalog in interface design, you can see based on the catalog, we need to have the operation like make catalog and allow the consumer to look up and to search. In the interface, they can do the comparison, by the consumer. Okay, and during it work inside the workflow, I'm sorry, inside the Windows, we can, the consumer can check the delivery day and finally make the virtual orders in order to just like reserve the goods, and in order to make a better status for their company. And now UML definition of input and output methods, you can see, from previously, in previous page, you can see, like here, check delivery, of check delivery, we have, it will associate with the company ID and catalog number and number of items required. And according to this message, of course, you can, when user complete, you will, when the provider complete, you will send the output like a catalog number and expected delivery days. And during here, if we have any errors, we cannot work, and we will reply the consumer the following error message, like invalid company ID, no availability, and 0 items request. And I think from this graph, this table, you will see all these messages will be associated with the, like use SOAP. because each data, the request is not that complicated, and the provider does not need to download the software to the consumer to let them to have a better interactive style. So now in next page you can find here when user send in like a CID is 6 size and number items, and the result we have the size is 10 and different larger than today or something like that. And if there's an error, well, it will reply the stuff to the user, to the consumer. And RESTful interface, just like as I mentioned previously, for RESTful, there are 4 operations. So you can when you look at the transparency by yourself, you can see the how to write the service with the RESTful because of the time limit. I think I will skip this one, and please read the transparency by yourself and discuss with Hermin. Okay, and for the service, legacy system service can be implemented by implement a service interface to existing legacy systems. When you have a legacy systems, and when you can have a layer up so that for the service provided by the legacy systems, I mean the original legacy systems may allow many procedural code inside, and you can construct a higher level and higher level interface, so that when you receive a service, a request from a remote site, and this component can help you to translate the service and send the message to the legacy systems. So as I mentioned, legacy systems offer extensive functionality, and this can reduce the cost of service implementations. As I mentioned previously, originally when we have a legacy systems, our viewpoint is just leave the system to the user, and the software constructed for this project will be discarded. But now, if the system works fine for several years, we can reconcile the systems, by recalculate the software and to divide into the utility service and entity service and task or microservices. So external application can act this functionality through the service interface. They do not know the inside. However, they can send a message to the service, and so there's an external component can help when the provider receives the service message, it will translate into the procedural code for local systems. So for the external systems, they will not know how it works, but what they know is to send a message to the service side and wait for the return of the service. So what information about your business contract, contact details, and those this is important for social reasons, and users of service have to be confident that will not behave maliciously. So an information description of the function of the functionality is provided by the service, and this to help potential users to decide if the service is what they want, and a description of how to use the service. And all this stuff will have a good descriptions. And as I mentioned before, if you construct a service, And if you feel this service will be very good for other users, and then it will send the service, you will register, you go to the registry pages and to register the service to the system, like in Apple or in Amazon. So subscription information that allow users to register for information about the updates to the services. So based on your registration, during your registration, you need to provide a document. And nowadays people are working on how to make it better for your service. Better, that means if your service are available in front of others, that means you have more chance to get more users. And how to make it? Well, this is a good topic to be studied for these few years. And the next is service compositions. When service development with the services, the existing services are composed and configured to create a new composite service and applications. So the service for service composition is called, usually we use the workflow. And workflow are logical sequence of the activity. And of course, the workflow, I think most of you understand it, the workflow is composed of, especially with structured workflow. We need to have four components. That means a system can be the control of a system can be decomposed into several components, and the connection of these components is done by sequence, selection, iteration, and concurrency. So provided a traveling delivery service in the next page will show will allow flight, car hire, and hotel booking to be coordinated. And like here, the work here, vacation package workflow, just it's a sequence of works. The first step is book flights, and the second is book hotel. The third is arrange car or sequence or taxi, and finally we have bus attractions and book attractions. And for the whole work, just there are four functionalities, and we use a sequence in workflow to connect of them, one by after the other, or one in front of the other, and to connect these works. Now we consider the whole thing as works, not object-oriented. Just consider, since we decompose the whole process, the whole work. So the work can be decomposed into a series of activities, or a series of sub-works. And as I mentioned previously, we use a sequence or selection or iteration or period to connect all this one. And you see from here, the normal arc, normal direct arc indicate, this is control, as I just like I mentioned, after the first one done, and then the control go to next one. That means we will start the work of second task or second process. And on the other hand, of course, when we send we complete the work to the second one, we need to send the data to the second one in order to make it work with the corresponding informations. And the data to be sent not only by one side, from book flights, it will send the message to the book hotel, also the arranged car or taxis. Here you can see for dashed empty the arrows, that means the data flow. The first step first task will send the data into the book hotel, and arrange car or text, the third one. And here you can see from book hotel, it will send a message to the fourth one. And bus attraction will send them information to the book attractions. And this is the whole workflow. And it also included the data flow, data informations, and we name it data flow. And you can see from here, when you given the project, originally it's just the process with the data in, data out, and then we can decompose into a series of subtasks. And as I mentioned, by using here, by using the sequence selection and the rest of control net to connect them, and you will have a good sequence sequential work continuity. And then for each of them, if it's too complicated, and you can decompose it again with this way. And we call this one a recursive definitions. We can decompose into a sequence of the active subtasks and connect of them, connect of these connectivities with the control structures, as I mentioned previously. So, existing services are composed and configured to create new composition services and applications. Just like previous page, like here, based on this, these services, we can compose them as an application we want, right? And this as we can see these 5 components can be treated as services. Now, service construction by composition, just like this way, I formulated formulate outline workflows, and you can go ahead to you can use the workflow to find all the component service or component tasks, and then based on what you have, you go to discover the corresponding services. And after you find the services, you can, for each function, for each process inside the workflow, each task inside the workflow, actually you can have one, or you can have corresponding services. Of course, they may not exist. If it's not exist, if it's complicated, you're supposed to decompose again and to find the corresponding services. And if it's atomic and you cannot find the service, then it just do the job by yourself, since the work is not that complicated. And so according to the service you find, you can select the best one for you. And then since you have completed the service, and then according to the specification in the very beginning, then you have a good service specifications. Of course, some service may not be useful, or some may not be expected as expected, because till now we still from an abstract point of view to see the systems. So we do not know the detailed implementation or detailed environment, and like a human or the company organization or whatever. After we complete the service selection, and we need to have after we have the running environment in the running organizations, and now or the running business, and now we need to refine the workflow in order to better design. And after we have completed the design, we are now created the corresponding programs. As I mentioned, as I mentioned previously, some service do not have the existing service already, so you need to construct a program for those parts. And after that, you will have the SQL workflow. And at this site, since all the code are completed, so you need to test the service. And after the service complete, the testing complete, and you can deploy the service. And this is the what we claim the competition. In other words, when you create the services, you can follow these steps step by step, and you can find you can construct the service, the service for the systems. And I think the rest these steps just trying to help you to go through the whole methodology, or say the whole competitions. So during the design and during the work in the past of the work, actually, if you use WS or Web Service Business BPEL or BPO, and this is a graph language. So as long as all the system can be described with the BPEL, and you can make a translation automatically to construct the software. However, since the BPMN method cannot work for everything, so we can see BPMN is more readable, and you can use when you draw with the BPMN, and of course some of them cannot be done, so you still need to do some additional work. And on the other hand, since when you can use BPMN only, and of course it will bring some defect, for example, like the efficiency problems, because all what we have used is by using BPMN, and it may not be so should I say it's not so efficient. Actually, it's not efficient enough. For some problems, it may not, it may make too much time to run it. So probably in inter-organization systems, several workflows are created for each organization and linked to message exchange. To make it more efficient, I think you may need to modify the old stuff with the SOAP, or especially with the RESTful services. And here is, an example of hotel booking workflow. I think today I will bring two examples and to make you take a look. Here is another workflow. Actually, for the workflow, we might use the a structured workflow. I think for me is quite familiar with this one. And you can see, using workflow, if you do not consider the structure, it may have something totally different. But this graph is a modification from the structured workflow. So you just go ahead and read it. Start from the hotel, get the requirements. Hotel will check the availability, and if no rooms in the hotel, will return. Just tell people it's no. So it will return the result, say no. Okay. If it is, hotels will reserve the room and keep the hotel configuration, right? And from this point of view, you can see, if the corresponding is a customer, okay, this is the process inside the hotel, and this is the process for human. So when the process is running this workflow, and when consumer, of course, consumer and the workflow inside the hotel are different processes, are different tasks. So since it's run, turn by turn, so consumer for the customers, they can enter his request. When he enters through network to here, it will download the corresponding pages and enter the request to the hotels to see whether it has or not. If it doesn't have, well, the hotel will reply the I think you can go through here. The first you get the first page of the hotel, and then you ask, whether it's available or not. If it does not, if it's not available, and the web page will send you it's not available. If it's available now, it will if it's available, it will make a reservation steps and finally to confirm the reservation to the consumer. And this is in both steps, of course, at this step, the hotel will, the process here will give an interaction with the user to make a user feel more friendly, like in this stage or like here. In both stage, I think this software will allow the user feel easy or feel comfortable to enter the systems and to run the software. And another example is interacting workflows. There are two workflows. They are just like two tasks. One is set up computations. The second is virtual service. And if you have two workflow here, two tasks or whatever, now like the first one, it have the request processor and set up job parameters and then download the data. And if it's failed, restart the whole work. And otherwise, give a start of computation, and give the data to the computation in the second side. So you can read, the process seems they both are concurrent, but you can see in for the second one, it will the request process will send a message to vector approach services, and if this one get the availability, it will send the result back to the request processor. Send the data back there, and this process, when it receives the message, it will now start to check whether it will set up the if it is a process, it will set up the parameters, and after complete, it will send a message to ask allocate the resources, and after you send the message, then you will go to download the data, and download data just means ask to the resource to initialize. And after this complete initialization, it will send the data back. And you can see after the job, if there are something wrong, that means it fails and go back to the start. If it's okay, and that means start a computation, you send the corresponding data to compute to do the job. And after the computer job, it will receive the job's result. Okay, and then after complete, you return the completion and complete the whole set of the work. And okay, this is the standard workflow. And on the other hand, the website, similar, just like in previous example, it's a sequence of activities. And in this example, you can see, we have at least equals all and the rest. And also we can have the subtask, and which can run several subtasks concurrently. However, I just like to mention to you, you can use the graph like this one to these two, and to construct several processes, and they can work concurrently with each other. So I think this is the workflow, and this indicates the composition of the process, and each of them can be treated as a like a download here, download data. It can be treated as as a utility service or it can be treated as the entity service for you. When we program with an application with the services, we can do by this way, by using the graph or by using the existing. You can find from all kind of the services program, and you can find it for utilities. That utility means the local services, or you can find those from remote side, especially for the entity services, and it will make you more efficient for your program to run. Okay, and I think the topics I give for this 6 week, and I will give a summary here. Services it's very important in this era, and of course you might have existing programs, and you might have some other utility services with a conventional tech like OO or agile programming, and it may be more efficient, for local services, especially for utility service. But based on the existing utility service, or based on the utility service you run, you construct it, and then you might some additional services like entity services, and construct the next layer like microservices for some domains, and it will help you to construct your applications. And we claim this methodology called service-oriented software engineering. And you will see from the software SOSE, and you will know, as the spin up of the network, and you will find, a lot of application is constructed based on the SO, and a lot of I think in past 2 years, past 3 years, people talking about service just try to, to make their system, better and better. But now, from 2 years ago, in software engineering, they just, construct a new evolution. That means, should be evolution or revolution. Well, it just tell you that because the services are getting more and more, so they are now ask the programmer try to construct the new concept with for example, like concern about the creativity with the existing services, no matter it's inside like a utility service or outside scenario, entity service or microservices. And since you have a lot of the services together, so you don't need to waste time for the construction from the very beginning. Instead, you can construct your applications based on these services, And now, I think that's a new era, for service construction, or for service, application construction, or application development. And I think this is the summary I give for the service-oriented programming. There exists a lot of services you can find from registry. So you will start your program development with a top-down, not bottom-up. With a top-down way, and to decompose the service process to get the requirement specification, and then you pay more attention on the requirement specification, and then make a small for the modification of the design, and then of course you will pay less effort on the implementation. And perhaps you have other questions. That's fine. You can find those questions in my transparencies, for the testing. And you might not you might not trust for those existing services, but it's fine. For current status and for the later few years, I think service will be become more and more confident, more robust. So, well, you can, you need to develop your techniques from service instead of from object-oriented or agile, because those are in the low level. So just like those may be done with for the web utility services, and the utility services are finite, since the below the utilities are hardware, so you cannot make too much for that part. So that's what I mean. And is there any problems
Okay,
for me?
thank you, Professor. So, yeah, I think this is the end of the session. So, if, is there any question? If there are any question, you can using raise hand. If you cannot like speak in English, you can like ask your question in Indonesian so that I can translate to Professor Wang. And here one question, Professor, from the chat. What kind of application that is better constructed with the service?
Well, there are a lot of applications existing. For example, like the the example I show here, or there are other examples that the mobile, especially for those mobile applications, like inside the car, or the facility inside the car, in order to discuss, make a phone call or get the temperature or whatever. You can use the application itself, which might be simplified than those using the or others. Since there are nowadays there are many service providers in the world, and it will be better for you to use the innovative provider, the service provider. As long as you can find the service when you develop software, no matter what kind of software you are working, as long as you can find the service, it's better for me to recommend you forget about the programming. Use the service directly. It's better, much better.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your answer. And one more question, Professor. Like, because I think they doesn't have the background in computer science, so they ask this question like, what uh, they need to learn to start work with the service or microservice.
Yeah, I think actually there are many patterns in services, or you can find the service from registries. I mean the service, the service information do not worry about you by you. I think for the understanding of service. Forming will give you lectures quickly, and on the other hand, you can treat the service as object, except the inheritance and polymorphism. Actually, their operations are similar. However, it's different because the object programming, the class and the method are done by you, and you keep those stuff, by with yourself. However, for services, it was done. It is open for everybody. So, for the services, they may not work for your purpose. However, as long as you find the service and their operations, as long as they can work, you just skip actually your library, because the service I believe they working better than the library you have. I mean, the you own, because well, those one has been tested many times. In your own libraries, well, still fine. The testing still finite and not that robust, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Is there any other question? Okay, Professor, if there is no other question, so thank you very much for your lecture and hope to meet you in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Mike. Mhm.
Thank you and good afternoon, Professor.
Yeah, you too.